At the start of the Second World War, Britain faced a threat that could not be defeated on land alone. The survival of the island nation depended on the sea lanes that fed it, and those sea lanes were under constant attack. German submarines, surface raiders, and reconnaissance aircraft turned the oceans into contested battlefields, forcing Britain to fight a quiet but relentless war far beyond its coastline. To meet this challenge, the Royal Air Force and the Fleet Air Arm assembled a diverse and evolving force of coastal patrol aircraft. Some were flying boats designed for endurance, others were land-based bombers adapted for maritime duty, and later types were purpose-built submarine hunters. This documentary examines every British coastal patrol aircraft used during WWII, tracing how technology, doctrine, and necessity reshaped Britain's airborne defense of the seas. As you watch, consider which aircraft you believe truly changed the outcome of the Battle of the Atlantic. Early war British flying boats, 1936 to 1941, Short Sunderland Mk. The Short Sunderland Mk. became the backbone of Britain's coastal patrol force at the outbreak of the war. Designed as a long-range flying boat, it offered exceptional endurance, allowing crews to patrol vast ocean areas that land-based aircraft could not yet reach. Early Sunderlands were lightly armed and vulnerable, but their ability to remain airborne for extended periods made them indispensable for convoy escort and submarine detection. As the war progressed, crews adapted tactics to compensate for limited early radar and weapons, relying heavily on visual spotting and coordinated reporting. Short Empire C-Class. Originally built as civilian flying boats for Imperial Airways, the Short Empire C-Class aircraft were rapidly converted for military maritime patrol use once war began. Though not designed for combat, their long-range capability allowed Britain to maintain early ocean surveillance during a critical shortage of dedicated patrol aircraft. These conversions lacked heavy armament and advanced sensors, limiting their effectiveness in hostile environments. But they provided vital stopgap coverage during the vulnerable early months of the Atlantic campaign. Supermarine Stranraer. The Supermarine Stranraer represented an older generation of flying boat technology still in service at the war's start. Primarily deployed in coastal waters rather than deep ocean patrols, it was used for reconnaissance, convoy observation, and training roles. Its limited speed and defensive armament made it unsuitable for contested zones, but it helped free more capable aircraft for frontline Atlantic duties during the early phase of the conflict. Saunders-Roe London. The Saunders-Roe London was nearing obsolescence by 1939, yet it continued to serve in secondary coastal patrol roles. Its large airframe allowed for extended flight times, but outdated engines and minimal defensive capability restricted operational use. While quickly phased out of frontline patrols, the London contributed to early maritime surveillance and training, supporting Britain's rapid transition toward more capable flying boat designs. Early land-based coastal patrol aircraft, 1939–1942. Lockheed Hudson Mk.I-43. The Lockheed Hudson Mk.I-43 marked a major step forward for coastal command by providing a fast, reliable, land-based patrol aircraft at a time when flying boat numbers were limited. Adapted from a commercial airliner design, the Hudson combined respectable range with improved speed, allowing it to patrol coastal waters and convoy routes more aggressively. It became one of the first RAF aircraft to achieve a confirmed U-boat kill, demonstrating that land-based patrol aircraft could play a decisive anti-submarine role when properly equipped and crewed. Bristol Blenheim Mk.4. Although originally designed as a light bomber, the Bristol Blenheim Mk.T4 was pressed into coastal patrol service during the early war period. Its relatively short range limited its effectiveness over the open Atlantic, but it proved useful for North Sea patrols, reconnaissance missions, and anti-shipping sweeps near enemy-held coastlines. The Blenheim's speed allowed it to respond quickly to sightings, though its light payload and lack of specialized maritime sensors restricted its long-term value in the coastal patrol role. Avro Anson Albacore. The Avro Anson Albacore was one of the earliest aircraft assigned to coastal command, despite being outdated by the standards of modern warfare. Initially used for maritime reconnaissance and limited anti-submarine patrols, the Anson's short range and modest performance soon exposed its limitations. As more capable aircraft entered service, the Anson transitioned primarily into a training and secondary patrol role, where it played an essential part in preparing air crews for maritime operations. Its contribution lay less in combat success and more in sustaining Britain's growing coastal patrol infrastructure during a critical developmental phase. Long-range anti-submarine patrol aircraft, 1941–1944, Consolidated Catalina Mk-4. The Consolidated Catalina, Catalina, became one of the most important long-range maritime patrol aircraft in British service once it entered Coastal Command in 1941. Its greatest strength was endurance rather than speed, allowing patrols lasting well over 10 hours across the Atlantic, Arctic routes, and distant coastal approaches. Early British Catalinas were used primarily for reconnaissance and convoy shadowing, but later Marks integrated airborne radar and improved depth charge capability, transforming the aircraft into an effective submarine hunter. The Catalina played a crucial role in closing the air gap in the Atlantic, where U-boats had previously operated beyond Allied air cover. Consolidated Liberator GR MCO-I. The Liberator GR MCO-I represented Britain's first truly long-range, land-based anti-submarine aircraft. Converted from the American B-24 bomber, it provided Coastal Command with the range needed to patrol the mid-Atlantic, an area previously untouched by continuous air coverage. Early GR-MK-1 aircraft lacked advanced detection equipment, limiting their initial effectiveness, but their presence alone forced German submarines to alter patrol patterns. This marked a strategic shift in the air war over the ocean, reducing U-boat freedom of movement. Consolidated Liberator GR-MK-3. The Liberator GR-MK-3 was a significant improvement over earlier versions, integrating radar, Leigh lights, and enhanced weapons for night and poor weather operations. These upgrades allowed Coastal Command crews to detect and attack submarines that attempted to surface under cover of darkness. The aircraft's long range and heavy payload made it one of the most feared Allied patrol aircraft from the German perspective, contributing directly to the declining effectiveness of U-boat campaigns by 1943. Consolidated Liberator GR-MK-5. The Liberator GR-MK-5 represented the peak of Liberator development in British coastal patrol service. Featuring improved avionics, more reliable engines, and refined anti-submarine equipment, it enabled sustained patrols deep into hostile waters with increased survivability. By the time the GR-MKV entered widespread service, Allied air dominance over the Atlantic was largely established, and the aircraft helped enforce that dominance through persistent surveillance and rapid response to submarine contacts. Torpedo and maritime strike aircraft used for patrol, 1940–1944. Bristol Beaufort, MKE. The Bristol Beaufort MKE was introduced as Britain's primary torpedo bomber, but it also played an important role in coastal patrol and maritime reconnaissance. Operating primarily over the North Sea, Bay of Biscay, and Mediterranean approaches, Beaufort crews conducted long patrols searching for enemy shipping and submarines. While its primary weapon was the aerial torpedo, the aircraft also carried bombs and mines, allowing it to adapt to patrol and interdiction roles. Early Beauforts suffered from underpowered engines, which limited payload and survivability, but they still provided Coastal Command with a multi-role platform capable of both detection and attack. Bristol Beaufort MK-2. The Beaufort MK-2 addressed many of the performance shortcomings of the earlier MK-1 by introducing more powerful engines and improved reliability. This allowed longer patrol durations and safer operations over hostile waters. In coastal patrol service, the MK-2 was frequently tasked with reconnaissance of enemy convoy routes and identification of surface targets for follow-up strike missions. Its improved performance increased crew confidence and operational effectiveness, particularly during extended patrols in poor weather conditions. Bristol Beaufighter TF-MKX. The Bristol Beaufighter TF-MKX became one of the most formidable maritime strike aircraft of the war. Though best known for its aggressive anti-shipping role, it was also heavily used for coastal patrol and reconnaissance. Equipped with airborne radar, cannons, rockets, and torpedoes, the TF-MKX allowed patrols to transition instantly into attack missions. Its speed and firepower enabled it to challenge heavily defended enemy shipping and surface escorts, while its patrol role provided Coastal Command with rapid response coverage in contested coastal regions. Handley Page Hampden TB-MKI. Originally designed as a medium bomber, the Handley Page Hampden was converted into a torpedo bomber and coastal patrol aircraft as the war intensified. In its TBMCI form, it was used for maritime patrols and torpedo attacks along enemy-controlled coastlines. The aircraft's narrow fuselage and limited defensive armament made operations dangerous, but its use reflected Britain's urgent need to adapt existing aircraft for coastal duties. The Hampden service highlighted the transitional nature of early war coastal patrol strategy, bridging the gap between improvised solutions and specialized maritime aircraft. Fleet Air Arm Coastal Patrol Aircraft, 1939–1945. Fairey Swordfish. The Fairey Swordfish entered the war already considered obsolete, yet it proved unexpectedly effective in coastal patrol and anti-submarine roles. Operating from naval air stations along the British coastline, Swordfish crews conducted slow, methodical patrols well suited to visual submarine detection. Its low stall speed allowed it to loiter over suspected contacts and operate safely in poor weather conditions. Although lightly armed and vulnerable, the Swordfish's stability made it an effective platform for depth charge attacks and early radar integration, particularly in confined coastal waters. Fairey Swordfish, Mk2. The Swordfish, Mk2 introduced structural reinforcements and the ability to carry rockets, expanding its usefulness beyond pure patrol into active submarine suppression. In coastal patrol service, these aircraft were increasingly paired with radar-equipped escort groups, allowing coordinated detection and attack missions. While still slow, the Mk2's improved offensive capability compensated for its vulnerabilities, and it remained in frontline coastal patrol service long after more modern designs had entered operation. Fairey Albacore. Designed as the Swordfish's intended replacement, the Fairey Albacore offered improved speed, enclosed crew positions, and greater payload capacity. In practice, it served alongside rather than replacing the Swordfish in coastal patrol roles. Albacores conducted maritime reconnaissance, convoy escort, and anti-submarine patrols from shore bases, benefiting from better crew protection and endurance. However, its handling characteristics were less forgiving than the Swordfish's, limiting its long-term impact in rough-weather coastal operations. Fairey Barracuda, Mk2. The Fairey Barracuda, Mk2 represented a more modern approach to naval aviation and was increasingly used for coastal patrol and anti-submarine missions later in the war. Equipped to carry depth charges and radar, the Barracuda extended fleet air arm patrol capability beyond visual search alone. Though primarily a carrier-based strike aircraft, its use in coastal patrol roles reflected the growing integration of naval aviation into Britain's layered maritime defense system during the later stages of the conflict. Late war British coastal patrol aircraft, 1944–1945, Vickers Warwick. GR Miko Wands. The Vickers Warwick GR Mihi I was developed to meet the growing demand for long-range land-based maritime patrol aircraft equipped with modern detection systems. Entering service in the later years of the war, the Warwick featured extended endurance and was fitted with airborne radar, allowing effective patrols regardless of visibility or weather conditions. In addition to submarine detection, it was widely used for air-sea rescue missions, carrying lifeboats that could be deployed to downed air crews or shipwreck survivors. Although its service life as a frontline patrol aircraft was relatively short, the Warwick reflected Britain's shift toward multi-role patrol platforms that combined surveillance, rescue, and coordination functions in a single airframe. De Havilland Mosquito FB Mk6. The de Havilland Mosquito FB Mk6 brought speed and precision to coastal command patrol operations. Originally designed as a fast multi-role combat aircraft, its coastal command adaptation allowed it to conduct rapid reconnaissance along enemy coastlines and shipping routes. The Mosquito's high speed reduced vulnerability to enemy fighters and anti-aircraft fire, enabling patrols in heavily defended areas where slower aircraft would face unacceptable risk. While its range was shorter than dedicated patrol aircraft, its ability to gather intelligence quickly and strike opportunistic targets made it a valuable component of Britain's late-war coastal patrol strategy. De Havilland Mosquito FB Mk17, Tsetse. The Mosquito FB Mk17, nicknamed Tsetse, represented one of the most specialized coastal patrol aircraft of the war. Armed with a 57mm Malines cannon, it was designed to engage surfaced submarines and small naval vessels with devastating firepower. In patrol operations, the Tsetse was often used to hunt U-boats attempting to transit coastal waters or recharge batteries on the surface. Its presence forced enemy submarines to submerge prematurely, reducing their operational effectiveness even when no direct engagement occurred. The aircraft exemplified how Britain's coastal patrol doctrine evolved to emphasize deterrence, rapid response, and technological dominance in the final phase of the war. By the end of the Second World War, Britain's coastal patrol force had evolved into one of the most sophisticated maritime air systems in the world. What began as a mixture of aging flying boats and improvised bomber conversions matured into a layered, technology-driven network of long-range patrol aircraft, strike platforms, and naval aviation units working in coordination. Early limitations in range, detection, and firepower were steadily overcome through radar, improved weapons, and purpose-adapted airframes. This evolution directly shaped the outcome of the Battle of the Atlantic by denying German submarines safe operating areas and restoring control of vital sea lanes. British coastal patrol aircraft did not rely on a single wonder weapon, but on persistent coverage, adaptability, and integration across services. Their success demonstrated that air power, when applied methodically and at scale, could decisively influence naval warfare and secure an island nation's survival in a global conflict.